What's up, you lazy, entitled, basement-dwelling millennials, bootstrapping boomers, apathetic Xers, and goddamn Gen Z kids today? The theme of the day is yeehaw, fuck the law. We got the pissed off bartender here with us today, and I am honored to find out that we are his first podcast appearance. If you guys follow me on TikTok, you probably already follow him on TikTok as well, so this should not be an unfamiliar face to you. But if he's not, tell us who you are, where you came from, what you're doing.
How's it going, guys? I am Andy, but everybody knows me as the pissed off bartender. And I'm just a dude from Alabama who's trying to find himself on the right side of history. And I liked talking shit on the internet, so I started talking shit on my videos, and now we're here. Fucking 500,000 followers across all platforms later.
Yeah, I've honestly been a little jealous of your kind of meteoric rise on TikTok. You know, I've been doing this for nigh on 3 years now, and fuck, I remember people started tagging me in your shit because there's similar vibes, very different regions, but similar vibes. I feel like, and people started tagging me in your shit all the time. I'm like, all right, you passed the vibe check. Followed you right away, and obviously didn't take us long to become mutuals. And then, fuck, I was just looking today, and you're damn near 500,000 followers just on TikTok alone. You're creeping up on my heels real damn fast.
Dude, it's been fucking crazy. Like, I thought the 10,000 happened fast, which, to put it in context, I've been making TikToks for almost 2 years at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I always like to say it like this because it's the legitimate truth. I made 500 videos that nobody watched. It was 501 that took off, and it was my 501st video was me stitching Charlie Classic on TikTok, where he made a video. It was like, "No country boy I ever knew back the blue," and I was like, "You goddamn right! My entire life it has been yeehaw, fuck the law, and raise hell, praise Dale."
Mm-hmm.
And that one did like, I don't know, 60, 70,000 views, which is a lot, don't get me wrong. But in the grand scheme of things, when you do like 1 million now, it's like, holy shit, I was losing my mind, thought I had made it on 60,000 views. And then it kind of, nothing happened off of that. It was just like some people got to see my face for the first time, laugh at the accent, and then it was slow. It was a slow burn for, I don't know, another month or so. I made it all the way through July. I think that was late June. I made it all the way through July, nothing really happening. And then Cheeto Benito took one in the earlobe.
Mm-hmm.
And I cracked me a little jokey joke, and it didn't stop. It just never stopped from there. Every day is a new adventure, and I have no clue what I'm doing, but the numbers have never stopped going up.
Well, I feel that it's, like I said, nearly 3 years in for me. I still have no fucking clue what I'm doing, but I keep trying to repeat the same stuff over and over again, and I'm like, nobody's gonna keep listening to this, and yeah, they do, and you found it. You found kind of the secret sauce. I think you're doing a really great job with what you've been doing on there, and I'm glad that I'm honored again that this is your first podcast experience. You're willing to come on here and hang out with us.
Honored to be here. I've been watching your shit forever. Like, you're one of the first people I was like, okay, this is somebody talking about politics and just life in general and people. They're like, I'm gonna follow this guy because it's funny. It's a great use of language, which that's when people tag me and you, it's not just because we're both talking about the same people. We're not talking about the same things. It's our alliteration. It's the alliteration alliance that we have formed. And so when I was like, I like that guy. He talks the same way I talk.
No, I mean a little less southern in my mouth, but yeah, it's definitely definitely the same vibe. And I think that you know, that has a pretty cool appeal, a pretty big appeal to a certain group of people, because I feel like we're a very underrepresented group, right? Progressives in rural America, and it was kind of my first question I had written down here is you know, you're in the land of the Klan and Talladega and Tuberville, and how do you go resist the rolling tide, total pun intended, and and end up, not like the sundown clown majority of your cities here or your state? Like how did that happen?
Man, it's so you have to really be from Alabama to understand Alabama. Alabama is incredibly bigoted. It's in like deep-seated racism. All of these things openly exist here in the most hidden way possible. Like, we take Southern hospitality very seriously. So someone might hate your guts, but they will probably hand you a $5 bill if you are hungry. And it was realizing, so I was raised by my great-grandmother, and my grandparents kind of lived next door to me, so I was a lot basically just bouncing back and forth between houses whenever I wanted. And my grandparents their grandma is still the treasurer of the church to this day, at least I assume. I haven't talked to him in like 4 years. Grandpa, head deacon, like, worked for the city, and I watched them be these upstanding people and teach these morals and values and things, and then I would hear them say things behind closed doors and use language that we don't use. And I'm just like, okay, that was step one where I was like, okay, maybe something's wrong here because you're teaching me this, but I hear you and see you acting like this. So maybe I don't necessarily want to subscribe to whatever the fuck it is you got going on. And it started with that, and also my parents were crackheads. Like, I don't hide the fact that my parents loved crack cocaine. So I did, anytime they would remember they had a kid, they would come get me for a little bit, and I did a lot of rubbing elbows with people that didn't look like me. I grew up, I was already fucking poor, but then we go to poorer places. And those kids were the same as me, I was the same as them, so it didn't matter where you were from. It didn't matter the color of your skin. It was just me and these other kids in this fucking trap house trying to survive. And that just kind of stuck with me through. And then prison happened. And for those that don't know, I went to prison in 2017 for a crime I did not commit. I went to prison for third-degree burglary for a house I have never seen because I sold some jewelry for someone who lived next door to me because he did not have an ID. And it turned out that him and his buddy had crawled through that house. But the DA didn't want to hear that, didn't give a fuck about that, and at 19 years old, he told me, I'm going to put you away for 10 if you don't sign this deal for 2 on probation. So I signed a little deal for 2, and like most 19-year-olds who have gotten way in over their heads on some shit, it did not last very long. I think I reported for probation for like 3-4 months, and then I was like, I didn't do this. Fuck them. They're going to have to come find me. Which, fun fact, you know what they will do? Come find you. Kind of. They'll wait till you fuck up. They know you're going to fuck up again. Because you know what all fuck ups do? Fuck up. So they come and found me, and I had to go to prison over it. Just to serve out the remainder of my little probation there. And I watched with my own eyes somebody else. You essentially get resentenced when this happens. So I sat next to a dude who was sitting on the exact same charge as me. He was he was a first-time offender, too. He didn't even get the opportunity to go through the probation program like I did or anything. They bammed this dude up for 10 years for the same fucking crime I had. Everything was the same. And I was like, well.
More tan than you?
I said, there's only one difference here between us. So, not that I didn't think it was a thing already. But when I'm watching, like, folks that look like me catch 2 years, 3 years, time served, released on own recognizance, $250,000 bond, no bond, 10 years, 8 years, shit just don't fly. And so it just reinforced everything that I had already been taught or learned myself. Then you go through the system, and I could talk for days about how dehumanizing and demoralizing and awful the Alabama prison system is without even getting into the fact that it's not set up for rehabilitation. It's just how they treat you. But it gets, the racism and shit gets so much worse in a world where there are really no laws because the laws are determined by the motherfucker with the biggest stick. And so by the time I got out of there, I'm not going to say I'm radicalized. I'm just going to say I have common sense and a loud mouth. And by the time I got out of that, I was, all right, well, we're going to use the common sense to run the loud mouth. And then I spent a few years on a major alcoholic journey, and then put the bottle down about 2 years ago, and things got better, and now I can use the mouth for good.
No, I mean, cheers to you for being able to put it down. This timeline makes me need to drink more and more every goddamn day. I feel like I can't.
I don't. If you are someone who doesn't have a problem with alcohol, I don't blame you for not wanting to be sober in this shit. Me personally, I'm California sober. I put down enough pot to take out an entire Renaissance family in a day.
California sober, love it. Yeah, well, sorry to hear about your experience, obviously, and I mean, sorry that our justice system is the absolute trash for everybody, and even worse for people of color. Obviously, it's a freaking nightmare, and I don't know what else you would describe it as, but just
it's one of those things you really never hear me like complain or bitch about it, because my little 11 months and 5 days that I ended up doing, like, I mean, it sucked, but I've done some things in my past. I got away with some shit. I have paid my bills by getting rid of things that you are not legally allowed to get rid of. So I probably earned my time in there. And just I was too good to get caught for my own shit. Had to get caught for somebody else's.
Right. No, I'm sure we have all done things that could potentially get a little bit of time, at least probation, whatnot. But yeah. So I actually, to be honest, I haven't seen a ton of your stuff. I think I actually came across one of your TikToks like a week ago before Jordan mentioned you as a potential guest on the show. It was your one video about not giving a shit about any leftists or liberals, whatever, who would give you shit because you wanted harm reduction by not voting for Donald Trump and for voting for Kamala Harris. And I think we can appreciate that because that's kind of what we've been trying to say for the past 6 months is harm reduction sucks as your main target, but it is still harm reduction, especially, when you consider it's harder to build things back up than it is to break it down. So, like, that video resonated with me a lot.
I'm glad. I mean, with that one, I've had so many people, and honestly, I don't think it's a whole lot of people on the left that are preaching the "you're being divisive" shit. For my theory is it's mostly people on the right who voted for Trump and now have buyer's remorse, and they're trying to find a way to, if we tell them not to be so divisive, maybe they'll let us sneak into the ranks with them. That is my personal theory. Mostly because the day after the election, the most Googled term on the planet was tariff. And shortly after that, it was, can I change my vote? I think right after everybody found out that Obamacare and the ACA are the same fucking thing.
Right.
And so, one, like, I have a feeling if you are telling me that I shouldn't be so divisive, you're probably one of them. And if you're not, Bud, why are you so willing to stand shoulder to shoulder with a bigot? Because that was kind of the whole fucking problem over here is the few good Republicans out there were willing to stand shoulder to shoulder with bigots to get what they wanted. And now we're fucked.
ACAB, right? It's the same thing as ACAB. It's like, a few bad apples type shit. It's like, you can't be a good cop in a corrupt system. You can't be a good politician in a corrupt party. And, and not to say, like, obviously we've all got our own bitches with Democrats, too. Like, we've got a lot of huge bitches with Democrats, which we have been airing kind of on the regular because right now is our time. We're not next to an election. Now is the time to fucking bitch and be like, this is why we're fucking frustrated with you and why you're not earning our votes and why you need to get your shit together. But it's the same thing, right? Like there's no reasonable Republican because you can't be a Republican and reasonable just as you can't be a good cop. And like, and don't get me wrong, one of my best friends in the world is a cop. I've known good people. I want to say good people who are cops, but not good cops because, it's like a good Nazi, right?
Yeah.
Like, you might not be the ones shoving them into the concentration camp, but you're damn sure supporting the system that is.
I have a buddy that I've never met this dude in real life, to be honest with you. He's just a buddy of a buddy through some mutual Facebook groups and shit. But he is somebody I talk to on the regular, generally about politics and shit. He quit the force like last year because he got tired of the shit in general. But I always told him, man, look, I trust you, the person, with me in my life. The second you put that badge on, I don't trust you for shit. Because if your buddies are around and they start jumping me, you might not jump in, but you're not going to do a goddamn thing to stop them. And even if you do, you're not going to arrest them. Because it's your family you have to go home and feed. This is your job. This is how you pay your bills. So while I can love you, the person, when you're off the clock, you are the enemy when you are on the clock, buddy. Because I can't expect you as a man to put me above your family. But I have watched you as a man put your family above the greater good of the world. So as long as you're wearing that star on your chest, we're not on the same side.
I mean, and I think it goes beyond that. It's not even, you can't expect them to put you as a person above somebody else. You can't expect them to put the priority of ethics, morals, or even their own oath of the job that they like said that this is what they uphold above anything else besides that thin blue line. It's not even the job. It's not the paycheck. It's that brotherhood that is pounded into them as they go through the academy and just immerse themselves in the system. As you are, they view all of us as enemy combatants, right? They put that uniform on, and then everybody else who's not wearing that uniform is an enemy combatant. And that is what ends up being, I think, the most dangerous thing of the way that American police are trained and just exist in our society. And that's why you can't be a good one. And if you are a good one, you end up like, Donna Watts, who pulled over a Miami PD. She was a state trooper, pulled over a Miami PD cop for speeding, doing like 120 miles an hour off duty in his squad car. And she turned on her lights and he didn't stop, and he ran from her, and she finally pulled him over and she arrested him, and she got, pushed out of the force, harassed, death threats, the whole 9 yards. And that's what happens when good cops exist. They don't last.
That's what we call a gang.
Absolutely.
They are just separated into little clubs or sets or however you want to call it for their local police departments and municipalities, but they are the world's most dangerous gang. And somehow they don't have rules of engagement, but our fucking military does in active war zones.
It's crazy to say. Well, and Taylor, you were in the military, and obviously you didn't serve on these, but
no, I mean, there's rules of engagement, sure, but I mean, there's plenty. I mean, we have tons and tons of stories of U.S. military getting away with a lot of fucked up shit. I wouldn't put that any really. I mean, I understand. I think it's a little bit different serving in the military versus being a cop, but it's pretty darn close. And I think both institutions have enough to answer for that. I don't think you could give any grace at this point.
I mean, I'm not giving grace to the military at all. I mean, I support the military in general, but I know lots of people that have come home and been like, not only did I probably do some sketchy fucked up shit in the moment, but I definitely watched some sketchy fucked up shit happen in the moment. But at least the military took the time to type up a piece of paper that said, hey, you got to do this list of shit before you were allowed to stack a body. There's not one of those for police force. There's no de-escalation effort. Did you fear for your life? Fuck them. Put them 6 feet under.
Yeah, I mean, by the time that military's deployed, like, it's already, like, you've already just committed tens of thousands, 100,000 people to being murdered for probably a reason that they had not even considered, had any decision, making power to, influence said decision. And I mean, there's just really not that many in today's society where you don't have. I mean, honestly, Russia is the closest thing to a group that, or maybe like a terrorist group like ISIS or something. You have to be like belligerently violent in today's world in my opinion, to have any sort of ground to stand on where you deploy a military force. Like there's most of the deployments that were happened in the 90s and the 2000s, I guess, right before 9/11, just were a waste of money and really not justified.
No, but didn't you hear? MAGA wants their Mango Messiah to unleash them on Mexico and Canada now.
Yeah,
we're going to annex 2 countries for purely existing.
Oh, we're going to buy Greenland in the process too.
Oh yeah. I had a dude type me a paragraph. I'm talking about this might as well been a novella in my YouTube comments last night. And he literally ended it with, so if our allies don't want to pay their fair share, I guess it's just time we roll the military over the northern and southern borders and we'll just annex Mexico and Canada. If they don't want to do it peacefully, we'll do it our way. And I'm like, do you know how 1940s this sounds right now? Like, at no point in typing this out did you not realize you are writing the German fucking game plan of 1940.
Mm-hmm. No, but that's what they are. They're fucking fascists. I mean, that's literally their whole playbook is Mein Kampf. Like, there's no, and this was my video this morning. The video I posted this morning at the time of recording, guys, not when most of you will be hearing this, except for the people who are hanging out in the live. But like my video for the Saturday we recorded this, January 4th. It was about NATO and the fact that like questioning our commitment to NATO and talking about pulling out of NATO is as unpatriotic and treasonous as saying you want to burn the Constitution at this point. Like, NATO has existed since 1949 to protect the quote-unquote free world that the United States itself has built after the Second World War. Like, and I'm not saying that I'm not a warmonger. I don't think that NATO was the best foreign policy decision going forward through these decades, but pulling out of it only allows something like Russia to fill that void, right? Like that's all it does. And questioning our commitment to that and saying that Russia can just steamroll anybody who doesn't want to pay their fair share. It's literally just egging Russia on to do exactly what Germany did in 1939. And that is World War III. There's no two ways about that. That is World War III, however we look at it. And it's frustrating. Like, and these are all these same old motherfuckers who were like, had to hide under their desks because Russia was going to blow us up, the most anti-communist motherfuckers ever. And I just, like, how do you get from that point in your life to, Putin's definitely Putin, a former KGB agent.
It's a cult. It's got to be a cult. There's fucking, sorry about the dog, y'all. There's Kool-Aid being passed around, something, because you don't turn 55 and just completely change who you are as a person, lose all sense of logic and morals, and fucking just change everything you've been taught. Like there's drugs, hypnosis, something is going on here. Or Fox News has got something coming out that I don't know. Like I never thought I would see an entire generation of people who were raised on don't trust the government and went through the entirety of the civil rights movement to just piss it all away for some fucking orange grifter.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
these
are not the same people I knew 10 years ago, man. Sorry for talking over you.
No, you're all good. Taylor, how old are your parents?
They're in their mid-50s.
Okay, so they're on the tail, and they're solidly Gen X then. Yeah, but
I was a young baby.
They're kind of Trumpy, right?
Yeah, my dad for sure voted for Trump this time around and the last time around. I'm not sure about my mom, but she is also like a Fox News person, or just like has it on way too much, and would vote Republican and did vote Republican for McCain and Romney, which are somewhat respectable choices considering. Comparing, but
comparatively, fucking anything's a respectable choice.
Yeah.
So how do you think they got to that point? I mean, because they're Minnesotan in the one of the most progressive, probably districts in the country, if we're being honest. I mean, are they in the Ilhan Omar district?
No, they my dad lives in like Dakota County, so he's outside of the Ilhan's district. That's like Hennepin County, basically. So I mean, as far as I feel like they just have been Republican for a really, really, really long time, and they just they buy into a lot of the propaganda that the right has been pushing for the past decade, that Democrats are ruining our country when it's true because they're basically supporting a capitalist agenda and don't give a shit about their regular people, but they do it in a way that doesn't like harm people in the way that the Republican agenda is going to be harming people and has harmed people in the last decade. So I think they sort of kind of just let it roll off their shoulders that all this stuff could happen. And they're just like, yeah, this is the best way because our country sucks. It's going in the wrong direction, and supposedly this guy can fix it. He says he can fix it, so like we'll just give it a try.
Is that all we need to do?
Go ahead.
Like a person. Do we just need Bernie Sanders to not come out and say anything else? Just a younger Bernie Sanders and be like, I can just fix it, guys. Like, just let me fix it. I can fix everything. Like we need idiocracy. We need not out there, but we need the Terry Crews hype man, the President Comancho hype man, be like, he's gonna fix all our problems.
Yeah, no, legitimately, I think we need someone to go undercover as a Republican, say all the right buzzwords, and then just not do any of the things they said to get there, because it's a popularity contest that the truth doesn't matter anymore. That is my one takeaway from 2024 is the truth no longer matters.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure. And the Democrats don't even care about correcting it either. So
they won't play dirty either. Like if you are not going to stop the fucking flow of misinformation, then do whatever you have to do to drown it the fuck out. Play like you gotta have to play on the same field if you want to win. Because I promise you, that's one of the major problems with the left in general. Is they bitch and argue and bicker about doing things the right way or the wrong way, or what is the right way, what is the wrong way, who are we helping, who are we... No, get some shit done, because I promise you they're not having this conversation. They decide we're going to do this and we're going to get it done. And that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the closest thing we got was the the weird stuff, before Kamala was running, was Tim Walzby and saying, God, these guys are just weird. That was like the closest thing that we could get.
Yes.
And look how well it worked. It was just like
right.
It was sprinkling. That was the diet light of like how politics needs to be played right now, right? And look how well it worked, because they're the most fragile motherfuckers on the planet, right? Conservatives are the most fragile, insecure motherfuckers on the planet.
The weird thing worked so well, we couldn't say weird on TikTok for 3 weeks.
I know. And so
it worked that well.
That it's just weird. It's like, why are you being so weird? Like it wasn't even like a middle school bully fucking line. It was just like, yeah, you're just being a little weird. Objectively, it's weird that you worry about other people's genitals so much. Like that's a weird thing to do as a grown ass adult. Like stop doing that. That's fucking weird. And they lost their fucking minds. And it's like, look, this is, again, the formula. And I've said it before with, like, Obama, the way that Obama ran his campaign on hope and change and a populist message, and just the jokes, like the jokes, if we're, for everybody not actually watching, the hand motion jokes about size and everything. Like the jokes. Obama had them, and it wasn't anything that was, like, super offensive or over the top, nothing nearly as offensive as, a tan suit or anything. But he had it, and it's like, this is what fucking worked. It worked that whole time. Then we're like, nah, fucking Hillary, let's do that. And then like box of deplorables. It doesn't hit the same, you know. I don't
Well,
know.
nothing she says hits it all in general. I mean, that's another thing. The fucking Democrats have got to get better at picking candidates. Like, there's nothing against Harris. It just no. I don't think anybody really gave an actual fuck about Harris. Like,
No.
harm reduction was the whole point there. I mean, didn't they come out with something not too long ago that like they had polled internally and pretty much knew she never had a shot and still ran her?
I mean, okay, sorry, Taylor. I'll let you go here in a second. I'm gonna Kanye you here for a second, but this was always my frustration was she had a horrible primary campaign when she ran for president, right? Same as Hillary. Hillary lost to Obama, and I'm starting to think like there should be a disqualification. Like if you run an unsuccessful primary, shouldn't be allowed to run again. I don't even think Bernie should have ran the second time because he was so fucking old at that point. And I love Bernie to death, but it kind of gotten past that point. But she had a really unsuccessful primary campaign. She's the most unpopular vice president, and it's like, cool, she's our person now, and that's what we've got to try to hype up. And like none of that shit's. Sorry. Okay, Taylor, you can go ahead. I'm
I need to take a 2-second pause. I have a dog right here whining, and I don't want him to get real loud in this audio.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
Come on, dogs. Nope. You got a crate in your way, huh? Go. Let me get these in the other room real quick.
I did see somebody say something about being creepy instead of weird, and I don't mind that at all. It's definitely that too. It's definitely that too.
Hey, Grown, yeah, absolutely. Creepy over weird. I agree because I've been just going on hard. I have one troll in my YouTube comments now who got really upset that I called out Matt Gaetz about being a fucking kitty diddler, right? And he's like, he's not. He was honeypotted and extorted. And I'm like, you're a fucking pedophile, dude. And if you're not a pedophile, you're defending pedophiles, which makes you a pedophile. I don't care. You're a pedophile. I'm just calling him a pedophile now. And he will not stop trolling my comments. And I'm like, cool, you're engaging my content, so you're helping make me money. And I'm just reminding you that you're a pedophile every fucking time. And I don't know. But I feel like they know they're pedophiles. Like, you can't be a Republican and not be a pedophile at this point, I feel like. So,
do you have any Republican or MAGA fans like that openly admit they're MAGA and they really like you?
Yep, I do.
I've got one. I mean, almost every video, I can guarantee he's going to show up, compliment me, and then talk shit about whatever the hell it was I was talking about.
No, I've got a few of them, and honestly, it comes down to the look, right? The aesthetic. Like, we are, I think, they're identity politics people. They're just identity people in general. So we fit their vibe, and they're like, I could have a beer with this guy. I could vibe with this guy. I could go out shooting demo derbies, whatever fucking redneck shit we want to do, we could do with this guy. But we just disagree on politics, and I can sit here and listen to this person talk about that because I can look past the way that it used to be, before Trump ruined America. Like, we were able to do that. I was able to sit next to somebody that I knew, like, we had very little ideologically in common with, and be like, I want to watch cars make loud noises, and you want to watch cars make loud noises, and there's no politics involved in this. We can sit here and get fucking hammered and watch cars make loud noises together and have a good time. And that's, I think that those are those particular MAGA conservatives that still
I think you're right.
A lot of them for not putting themselves in an echo chamber. Whether they agree with me or not, I'm happy they're here.
This is something I've said on my Twitch channel a whole lot. I think it is important that everybody on whatever portion of the political spectrum you find yourself on, to find a content creator, not fucking Fox News or CNN or anything. Find a content creator from the other side that you can deal with, and just just occasionally check in. You got to know what the fuck they're talking about, what the fuck they're thinking about. How there's a podcast that is a relatively big podcast. I don't want to give them any free press, but there's a that is for like three uber right wing creators, and one that's like I kind of watch it because he puts them in check, but he's kind of right wing ish. But he's the same age as me, millennial, young, like. He's the not Trump Republican guy, essentially. And I will watch their podcast and laugh at it and all that other shit, even though I'm like, oh, I don't agree with any of these fucking people, but they're tolerable, and I need to know what they're thinking, what the fuck they got going on. How are they reporting the same shit that I am talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, just not being in an echo chamber is incredibly important for all of us, because that's part of empathy, right? That's part of understanding where other people's reality exists in, because there is an objective reality, but none of us live in an objective reality, right? And we all have a subjective view of that objective reality, and understanding where those people come from is important, just to even forming our own decisions and our own, like, the way that we want to move forward as people, as a society, is understanding where everybody's on par with. And that's something that the Democratic Party especially fails at, is being from rural America, is you're all just a bunch of dumb hicks out here, and we don't have time to deal with you. You're not educatable enough for this kind of shit. Like, I'm sure you feel very underrepresented by the Democratic Party. I know I do.
Fuck yeah. Dude, I thought I was alone until I saw you and Incrediberry on TikTok.
I've got questions about that later. Just the whole two Alabama progressives being my mutuals here on TikTok. Like, there's some fucking underground Alabama.
Apparently there's one of us about every 40 miles from the state line with Tennessee all the way down to fucking the ocean. Because there's a couple up around Huntsville that I don't really know, but there's them. About 40 miles down, you got Proletariat Repair and Warrior. A little farther on down, you got me and Birmingham Blue Dot. You go a little farther on down, there's Alabama Fella. It's like we're a straight line down 65 in Alabama. But I think me and Incrediberry are like the two probably most known. Yeah. I don't know. Birmingham Blue Dot's probably got, I think they've got like millions, but I had never heard of them until after I had popped. But that's TikTok.
Mm-hmm. No, I know. I've been following Incrediberry since, like, he was one of my very first followers before I was even anybody. And, I loved his stuff, and obviously I love yours because you throw on that country accent, and it gives a little bit more credibility again to, you live it and you feel it. And I got a whole line of questions for that, and I know I cut Taylor off. Like I said, I Kanye'd you earlier there. You even remember what you were gonna say now, or did we fuck that?
It was just about selecting Kamala, and I know that they did it for the money, and they did it for the identity politics side, which, like, whatever. Like, if you think that's important, find somebody that fits that identity that you think is important, and find the right person. Clearly, she was not popular, like you said, in the primaries. She was connected to a vastly unpopular presidency, which, even though she's the vice presidents do nothing. They are tied to everything that the president does and gets blamed for. So she got all the blame for all the things that Joe Biden did, even though he deserves a lot more credit than, like, you could reasonably should give him. Yeah, I don't really have that much more. It's just she was just
absolutely. I thought
didn't end up being the right person.
I thought when they selected her as vice president, and there was a lineup, and my pick from the beginning, from a pragmatic standpoint, because obviously Elizabeth Warren or something as a progressive would have been more appealing to us, right? But just a pragmatic, I'm thinking about it from DNC thought processes and big money processes, and if we're going to use the DEI moniker, DEI processes and all that shit, whatever. Tammy Duckworth, for fuck's sake, was look, a fucking combat vet who lost her legs in a combat mission, like fucking. She's Asian and a woman, and like she hit every box you needed to hit, and she's definitely a more moderate Democrat, but she had more, I feel like, underlying appeal to, because again, the veteran card. She is a veteran. She served on Veterans Affairs. She's a disabled veteran at that. She's a minority woman. Like it was all there, and she doesn't take shit. And it was the, I don't understand why as a corporate DNC strategy why that was not the pick. And then if the same thing had happened and Tammy Duckworth had been on the, and I don't know, maybe she wouldn't have won. I don't know. Maybe we are that misogynistic. I like it's hard to say, because again, they've never given us a popular Democratic candidate to go up and run as a female, and then it gets frustrating because now it's like, yes, misogyny definitely plays a huge role in this, but how much of it is misogyny and how much of it is just it's another Clinton running again for the 30th fucking time, or
image issues are a huge problem with the Democrats in general, because all the ones that have like a public image, a recognizable face, have a scandal beside it, or a not favorable presidency attached to their name or something like that, or somebody that you've never fucking heard of outside of your state. Like, I loved Tim Walz. You know why I loved Tim Walz? Because I had never fucking heard of Tim Walz until he was announced as her running mate. And I was like, that's how I like my politicians. If I've never heard of you, this means you've never done anything stupid, or you've gotten away with it. But the Democrats need somebody that people know who this person is. But they need that person to be also not scandalous at some point or another, and so it's an image issue across the board.
Absolutely, and I said this multiple times when Hillary ran. Is like, Hillary was a victim of a lot of shit that was not her fault or shit she'd never done. It's just Republicans had 3 decades to build slander campaigns against the Clintons. They did not, when she was the front runner, they didn't have to do anything but just start pulling out the greatest hits. Like, let's unload that Benghazi shit. Where are emails? Fucking let's run some Monica highlights for funsies. Like, they had decades of shit like that they had built up, and that was part of the thing with Obama, was they didn't have any of that. It was all from scratch. Like, they have to figure it out from scratch. And I do think that's a huge part of it, is you should be running candidates who have the political power to run, but don't have the name. I don't know that name recognition is a good thing in the 21st century.
Right.
See, and I wish, because I think Hillary could have been a good candidate if she went anti-establishment, because when she first started out as first lady, she actually was for like universal health care. Like, she was like crazy into it. But then when she was running in 2016, nope. Didn't give a shit. Like, she took all the corporate money and just went downhill from there.
She's a fucking Dixiecrat, man, and
right.
I have never been a Clinton fan. I didn't vote in 2016 because I was technically I was state property in 2016, even though I wasn't in prison. I was state property, so I couldn't vote. But the whole time I was like, I wouldn't. Yeah, I would have voted independent, because I would not have fucking voted for Trump. But I couldn't have brought myself to vote for Hillary either. And like, I had this conversation with somebody. It's really us just going back and forth in YouTube comments, but with somebody yesterday, it's like, in 2016, he won because the Democrats put Hillary up there, who had horrible name recognition and was also a corrupt Dixiecrat. That's the only election he ever won. 2020, he lost because you had everybody home in the pandemic, and they were taking a greater care, and they were not going to make this mistake again, a fucking potato could have won against Trump in 2020. This time, everybody's fucking over politics. The only people that are still paying attention to it are his cult members and then the folks like us. And me and him had to sell somebody a candidate that nobody really wanted. Were we cool with it? Sure. I mean, obviously we were cool with it. We voted her in as vice president. But we still had to sell this woman on people who either didn't know who she was, don't know what the fuck a vice president is, or don't care. And I think one of the things that we have kind of not really touched on yet, and just in general, is we're battling stupid, gentlemen. Our main enemy is not the Republicans. It is, but it's not. It's stupid. And I didn't realize this until about 2 months ago. And it's something that getting into content creation, like actually being a content creator and engaging with thousands of fucking people a day, I have realized it's not half our country is bigoted. A large portion of our country is bigoted. It's that half of our country is legitimately, and whatever, if this gets drug up on the internet in 10 years, yeah, I fucking said it. Half of y'all are fucking dumb.
Well, that's apparently the winning thing. You love the poorly educated. Elon's out here saying y'all are too dumb to work for me. That's why we actually still need immigrants that we told you we were going to deport and shit. Like,
remember, fuck. Americans, you're fit to work the fields. You are not fit to sit behind a desk.
Guys, this is going on a lot longer than we anticipated, and we don't want to cut the conversation short. So could you tune in next week, and we will have part 2 of our conversation with the pissed off bartender here, our brother from another Alabama. And we will get back to it. Can you just let us know what all you got going? I know you do some Twitch stuff. I know you do, you got your YouTube, your TikTok. Just let us know all your shameless plugs. All
right, so obviously it's Pissed Off Bartender over on TikTok. That's been the main platform. I'm really trying to push the YouTube right now, which is now Pissed Off Bartender as well. It's same everywhere, but Instagram, you got to use a 3 for the last E. But really YouTube and Twitch, if you really like, if I'm pimping anything, I'm pimping the Twitch channel, y'all. It's twitch.tv/pissedoffbartender. I'm live 5 days a week, 6 to 9 p.m. now, Central Time. We smoke a lot. We play some video games. We have good conversations. It's mostly just a chill spot to come relax, though. Like, would love to have you come by, say hi.
Usually I throw my Prime sub on Twitch to Hassan, but I might have to throw it your way a couple months here in a row.
We will take them billionaire bucks, friend. A Prime sub is my favorite sub because it don't cost you a goddamn thing, but it makes that Jeff Bezos ticker go up just a little bit slower.
That's right.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us. Again, we will do this every week for as long as you guys hang out with us to do this stuff. And gotta admit, we've been burnt out a little bit, I think, as well as all of you have been trying to trudge through the new America that we live in. But we're trudging. We are trudging, and we're keeping this up, and we appreciate the hell out of people like Andy here, Pissed Off Bartender, for coming in and helping us. This has been some seamless fucking content, if I'm being honest, because we did not put a lot of effort into the planning, and having these conversations is what's going to keep us going through all this. So please go support him. Please support us. Offjawaggon.com. You can get Let Them Eat Toast merch. You can get Offjawaggon merch. And obviously subscribe to us on Patreon or YouTube or wherever if you can. We appreciate the hell out of that, but we appreciate the most out of people just listening to us sit here and ramble. It's why we do what we do.
That's right, guys. We appreciate you tuning in.
All right. Till next time.
Go ahead.
All right. Hang out, bud.
Oh, you're good. I'm well versed in this part.